Hey, I'm JM and I'm your host.
And I'm your co-host Sam, and together we're here to bring you the Solo, Success
Podcast. So, the reason why we're bringing this to you today is that the hair and beauty industry is moving fast towards a world of freelancers. Over 70% of people working in the space are freelance, and actually 48% of salons are looking to close within the next couple of years. So, there's a big opportunity for those who want to go solo. But what we found is that there wasn't any good resource out there to help you on your journey.
So on each episode, we'll be speaking to different industry experts and insiders, those that have been on interesting journeys and that have stories to tell, and they're going to be sharing their tips and advice on how you can elevate your solo beauty career.
I'm super excited. That's so awesome. Let's get into it. Hello, Kayleigh. Welcome to the Solo Success Podcast. You are a TEDx speaker, founder of Actually I Can't, and soon filmmaker. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so pleased to be here. Thank you.
So by the end of this podcast, what will our audience be able to take away?
So what I'm going to be diving into today is how to become the iconic leader in your industry so that you stand out and you attract your soul-aligned dream clients and customers through your door.
Amazing. So tell me a bit more about an iconic leader. What is it? How do you get there? That sounds like something that I want to become.
Yeah, do you know what? A lot of people ask me this question as well. It's something that I have been teaching and supporting people with for years. And I think when we look at the online space or we look in any industry whatsoever, we will see that the most successful people out there, the most successful, highly profitable, and those that are really doing well are the iconic leaders in the industry. They're the icons. And so what this means is it's so much more than social media presence. It's so much more than having thousands of followers. It's so much more than having, loads of connections and community friends, within your local area. What it's about is it's about really embodying certain qualities and principles that set you apart in your industry. Because I think a lot of the time in every industry, people are starting to blend in more so than ever before, especially with AI. So what is happening is that in every industry, there just seems to be carbon copies of the industry leaders where everyone is copying them and trying to imitate them, when the reality is this: everyone individually leaned into embodying who they are as an iconic leader in their zone of genius. That will help them so much in terms of creating that success in their business, and creating, generational wealth, creating impact, positive impact, creating more freedom, flexibility, whatever it is that their goals are.
If I want to become an iconic leader, I always think about obviously the leaders in the space, right? Like Beyonce or someone like that. But I'm guessing how can I become an iconic leader from a nail tech or hairdresser, solo business owner? Is there space for someone like that to become iconic?
Absolutely. In every single industry, I say that every single person can become iconic. And I think one of the biggest things to start with to really support our listeners, for example, that are listening to this right now, with how to be iconic, is to look at your positioning. Now, positioning is such an important thing. This can be online, this can be in your local area, it can be anywhere, but how you position yourself in front of your ideal customers or clients is so important. One of the first things when it comes to positioning is, first of all, just making sure that you're really clear and confident in owning what you're saying. So for example, if you're a salon owner, or if you specialize in nails or aesthetics or beauty, whatever it is specifically, I want you to really lean into that confidence, that conviction, with the fact of knowing that your particular service that you offer is going to make your client feel $1 million. That is going to give them some transformation, whether that's to look fantastic, whether it's to feel fantastic, whatever it is specifically that you focus on. But it's having that conviction and confidence in your own voice, first of all, that really helps. But the number one thing around positioning that sets people apart, because you've got to have that conviction and confidence, is being known for one specific thing. being known as the go-to person in your industry for that one specific thing. So it's not enough to say that you specialize in a certain type of service. We have to go beyond that. We have to say that, yes, that particular service is what you have to offer. That's what you're selling. But what is the thing that you specialize in? What is the one thing that's going to set you apart from every other nail technician, for example, or every other aesthetics practitioner, or every other hair extension specialist? What is it? Because that is where we can really elevate individuals to make sure that they are standing out. So it's about the conviction, the confidence, owning what you stand for, but then also identifying, what do you want to be known for? Yes, you've got the service, but there's going to be something more to that. And what I always recommend with this is linking it to the transformation, linking it to the end result of your client or customer that walks through the door. How are they going to feel when they walk out of your door at the end of it? Because when we connect emotion, that allows our clients, our customers, those incredible people that you want to be, filling your fabulous salons and practices with, you want them to feel $1 million. You want them to want to come back and rebook their next appointment straight away.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like I've interviewed like a few successful solo business owners, like award winners, and the thing that always strikes me is how they're able to create this kind of amazing experience. That's how they call it.
Yes.
And I think that's what you're kind of talking about. How does someone, let's say like I'm just starting out, I'm seeing people around me and I'm like, well, I don't know what makes me different. Like, I don't know what I want my customers to feel afterwards. I want them to feel good, but how is that different to anybody else? Like, how do you find this edge and become iconic?
So, do you know what? One of the first things to do, and I think especially for those at the sort of more beginning of their journey, is to lean into your current customers or clients. Get feedback from them. Like, if you don't know what your one thing is, some people know and some people don't. If you don't know, lean into the actual customers and clients themselves. Ask them how, what was the experience like? How does it make them feel? Is there anything specifically that they loved about, coming into my salon or practice rather than someone else's? Because I think that feedback is the most valuable thing that we can gain as business owners, because it allows us to tweak, to improve, to refine all of the different things. And I think that is probably also one of the best things to literally just sit and ask people, what is it you like about me? Why did you come to me over everyone else in the town or in the industry area? And that will really give you some ideas, first of all, that will help you. The other thing on advice on this question is also to kind of think about what really lights you up. What really does excite you, what makes you really passionate about what you do. So just as an example, someone that I go to for my hair extensions, she trained as a hairstylist, and she did lots of different the elements that they need to do in regards to kind of training and certifying and getting the qualifications. And then I remember her saying to me that actually doing hair color and styling and things wasn't a thing that really lit her up. She did it because she knew she had to. But once she qualified, she knew that she wanted to make people look and feel incredible with long volumed hair. So she lent into that, and she has become known in my local area as the extension specialist. She is naming herself as the one and only in my area. And she's leaning into that. And with her messaging and with how she markets herself is, yes, she's known in the area for the hair extension specialist, but also, again, it's attached to the emotions. And she knew that she wanted to create that. So asking people their opinion, what do they, really enjoy or like about coming to you, especially in the early days when you get your first few clients and customers, but then also what lights you up, what are you really passionate about that you think, I really wish that people would come to me and know that I am that person in the industry.
Yeah, I think this is spot on. Like I feel exactly the same. Like when we started Jenna and we had our first customers, we did exactly the same thing. We spoke to our customers, and I think that's such a powerful thing, because you realize, one, like the value you create, so it ultimately makes you feel very good, but also you realize why people come to you. And for us, it was always about like that kind of a very easy to use system, very fairly priced, like set apart from like the whole competition, which charges you hidden fees and eats up your profit. And that's like a vision that we always had, but it came alive when we spoke to our customers because they tell you what you then do, and then we like building product, we like speaking to our customers, and then that's the things we like, and that lights us up. So I think it's really, really valuable advice. And how did you? So I guess like that's something that, you know, building an iconic leader is what lights you up. So how did you get there? Like, I guess you didn't wake up one day and say, I want to do this. It was probably also like a whole journey. So tell me a bit more about that journey and how you got there.
Yeah, of course. And it's a great question as well. So again, when I started in this particular industry, you know, as a business coach and strategist, there are loads of them. And actually there's probably about 100 times more now than there were when I first started as well. And what I found is, again, I was blending in. I wasn't standing out. And I had to do a lot of work in terms of, you know, what lights me up? What am I passionate about? And I'd always known that I am very much a passionate person about creativity, about making people look and feel incredible. You know, my background is in sort of TV, films, performance, and just, you know, photography and videography, all of the kind of creative aspects of things. And I wanted to lean into that, but I didn't want to be a brand specialist. I wanted to make people become a person through the photography, videography, creative, all of that side of things. And the more and more I thought about it, I kept thinking, right, what is it? What is it that I want them to become? And again, people like Beyonce are a big influence, absolutely. And I started looking around and looking at other people, and then obviously Madonna from back in the day, and lots of different icons. And I was like, that's it, iconic. This is the thing. I want people to become icons. How can I transfer that in a way that people are going to understand with business and it links to strategy? Well, they need to become a leader, but they're going to become an iconic leader. So I started to kind of piece this together in my mind of, okay, this works. And actually this could be a really good angle to support people with not just business strategy as a whole, but to support people with developing or growing their business. Yes, with business strategy, but we're leaning down this creative route. And once I started doing that, I talked about it every single day. And this is for those that are listening. Once you find your one thing, tell everyone, and do not stop telling everyone. Tell them that. So everyone, if you were to go on my socials right now, all you would see literally is the word icon, iconic leader, icon, iconic leader, absolutely everywhere. You can't escape it. And to the extent when my clients say, I saw the word iconic again, Kayleigh, and all I could do was think of you. And it's because it's that repetition, right, in terms of marketing and messaging. So that's a little bit about how I came around this concept and idea of helping people in that way.
And I mean, in this world where everybody's like so impatient, like it feels like you figure it out, and you're out there and you're like, oh, I want to become this iconic leader. And if they're not doing it in like a week or two, they're like, oh, I failed. And I'm sometimes a bit guilty of this. Like I put myself like very tight deadlines, and if I'm not getting there, I'm like, oh, this is not working. But I think that everything takes time, right? So just to give our audience a little bit of like an idea of how long it takes. How long did it take you to like come up with all of this and develop that program? And how long does it take usually when you see someone become that iconic leader? And I guess it's always work in progress, but like from that kind of moment where you think about it and then when you're there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely work in progress, and definitely there's kind of different stages to it. But I would definitely say, I mean, from my perspective, those first couple of months were a bit of a whirlwind because I was trying to figure out who I was and where I was going. And then I launched a program called Unstoppable, which is, again, a very similar word that kind of creates that empowerment.
That's a great word.
It is. It is.
I love it.
And that stuck for a long while. People started to go, oh yeah, Kayleigh's got this program called Unstoppable. And you use a song. I used the song by Sia that, again, attached to the program, worked really well for marketing purposes. Anyway, and it wasn't until about 4 or 5 months after that I led into the iconic. So it probably took me from the very beginning of this business about 9 months to really establish who I was in the industry and lean into the iconic side of things. Because before that, I was a business coach. I wasn't even a strategist at that point. I was a business coach, and I supported people with businesses. And then I created this program, Unstoppable. And as you can imagine, it just sounds all quite samey. So it did take me a while to really develop that and to, again, get some feedback from my clients and, to really understand where I fit in the market and the industry.
Yeah, no, I get that. But actually, when you think about it, 9 months is quite quick when you think about your whole career, like how long it takes. Like that's like a good amount of time. And what are the steps you need to do in that period to like get to like understanding kind of your difference and what makes you unique?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple of things that you can do. I mean, definitely, if you're starting from scratch, then first of all, for anyone that's listening who's at the sort of more the beginning stages, I would honestly say do this work first, because it really will help. It will save you a lot of time. So it's all about the clarity perspective of this. So just really understanding obviously who you are as a person, your positioning, and then also your ideal clients or customers, and then making sure you got that clarity, because I think if you can do that work first, it will really help you with understanding how you can move that forwards a lot quicker. And I fully appreciate you're going to need clients and customers, like we were discussing earlier, to actually ask them, but that deeper work can be done at the outset. I mean, in terms of a journey, if people are currently on the journey at the moment and kind of working out the steps, I would definitely say, again, really establishing that clarity and identity first of who you are and who you want to support. And then following on from that, there's some really clear kind of elements that you want to build on. So things such as, for example, your visibility, because once you've established who you are as that iconic leader, you want to get visible with that. So really focusing and leaning into your visibility. Where are you putting this message? Who are you sharing it with? How can more people hear about you and see that? So visibility is key. Then building a community, so building that overall community where people can feel part of your community and go on the journey with you. And I think that's really important, to really go on that journey with you so they can see the growth that you have, but also the impact that you can create, which leads into the final one, which is impact. The more positive impact you can create for the people who you are serving, the better, because the more you will then be seen as an iconic leader. So to refine that, just to make it clear, you've got identity, your own identity, clarity of your ideal clients. You've got obviously visibility, getting out there, your building of a community, and then impact. So the real impact.
That's a very powerful framework. I think if you're listening, you should make a note of that.
Yeah.
I think I agree with that. I've been I was listening, and these are the things that we've done as a company, right? We've done exactly that. We start with what is our ICP, what is our customer, what's our value. Then we started sharing that word around, having some partners, trying to and we still do that. That's always work in progress. And then having a community, like you said, where we have a little WhatsApp group where people can connect and help each other. So I think kind of building up that community is really important. And then the impact, well, obviously we're trying to change the way they run their business, make more money, and become fully booked. And that's something that we also have. So I think that framework, I wasn't aware of it, but we've been following those steps. And I think if you're not aware of it, just writing it down and thinking about those things before you set out to start your business is a really powerful thing to do. With everything that goes with business, there's always business models and how do you make money from it. Is that a part of the iconic leader as well, building kind of almost a sustainable business model for yourself?
Absolutely. So a lot of the work that I do, there's kind of two parts to it. There's the iconic leader, so becoming that iconic leader, because when you are seen as that iconic leader, you're naturally going to attract more people to you. And then the other element of that is what I call the ecosystem. So it's absolutely building a business model that allows you to consistently bring people into, whether you call it a funnel or a system or whatever, to obviously bring them through that funnel and nurture them and keep them there, so that they have opportunity to buy from you or work with you or come into your practices or your salons, etc., to kind of get access to the experience that you offer. So a big part of what I do is absolutely the ecosystem itself, and really supporting people with, quite simply, building that business model that is going to continuously bring you in new leads. Because I think that's one of the biggest things that people struggle with, is attracting new customers, clients, or leads to come through.
Completely. I love that the dog gets excited by the business model. I'm also very excited by the business model.
I'm so sorry. She's in the background.
No, that's all good. No, I think it's such an important topic, huh?
Yes. No, it is absolutely. It's such an important topic, isn't it? Yeah.
And she knows. So what is the kind of the journey of refining that business model? Because obviously, like a lot of like all users, they set out their business, but then there's like this whole thing around like charging your worth, making sure you put your boundaries, making sure like you're able to make a living out of your business. And I think that's something that's not being taught everywhere, not being taught at school. So how do you kind of go about that, and what are the steps you take to people that work with you to like refine their business model?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right as well. I think a lot of the time, especially today in 2025, people are under the assumption that you can set up a business and you're going to make loads of money and happy days. Whereas actually,
Just vibe code a product on AI, just put it on social media, everybody's going to buy it.
this is it, right? And I think there's a lot of false marketing out there as well, which actually frustrates me quite a lot. But at the end of the day, everyone who has a business wants it to be highly profitable, wants it to be sustainable, and wants that consistency, right, in terms of growth and and obviously bringing those clients, customers, etc., sales coming in. So I mean, there's lots of different things that we could talk about here, absolutely. But I think one of the key things again is making sure. I mean, first of all, making sure you know your numbers. I think that's probably one of the most important things, isn't it, as a business owner? If you don't know your numbers, and when I say numbers, I don't necessarily mean how many clients or customers you've got coming through your door right now, the bigger picture numbers. So ultimately, what are the goals? What are the overheads? What are, the KPIs? We've got to look at, as business owners, the numbers. Because if we then get stuck with things such as cash flow, for example, it's going to impact you, your family potentially, not you personally, but you know what I mean, you, your family, people around you.
No, of course.
We don't want issues with tax, with VAT. We don't, we want it to be clear. So one of the first things that I would always say to people is make sure you're really super clear on your numbers and have. We have something that is an entire kind of, not a system as such, but ultimately a kind of formula and framework that helps people with that cash flow and with the numbers, because the last thing we want is to just not have that clarity. So kind of things like that to start with, just getting that clarity around what does it look like on paper through your numbers. And then obviously, again, at the beginning stages or at the beginning of every month and every quarter and every year, you've got to know what you're working towards. So if you do have a practice or a salon, how many numbers are you wanting to get through that door? How many clients are going to be retained and returning clients or customers? What does that actually look like, and breaking it down? So if you're aiming to have turnover every month of, say, £30,000, I'm just plucking that out of thin air, what are you going to do to get to that 30,000? What do you need to do? Considering obviously, again, the amount of people that might potentially work in your clinic, practice or salon, and then obviously working it backwards. So I think for me, it's always been a case of knowing your numbers, knowing the goals, and working backwards so that you can start to build the strategy. Because I think once you know what you're aiming for and you're fully aware of all numbers, figures, cash flow, VAT, all of the things, you can then strategically put an actual strategy in place to help you get to that point.
And what do you think are the main things that people like forget when I think about numbers? Because I think like what I'm seeing a lot in like at least like our user base or even like in the industry in general is sometimes you don't understand what your costs are, like what goes into the product. Also, you start pricing yourself based on market rather than what you want and your goals. So these are like kind of the few misconceptions about money, and also like thinking about like the money I get right now, that's like money I can use right away, whereas like there's usually like things happening with that money afterwards, like tax is one of them, and you probably need to be saving and things like that. So what are the things that you see like most of your clients or most people you work with not seeing, or you being able to teach them and opening up their way of thinking?
Yeah, so I think if it's with numbers, it's one of the ones that you said there, which is absolutely understanding what that money is and where it's going. So again, if you're bringing in 10,000 or 30,000 into your business that month, but we know overheads, we know that we've got taxes to pay, you've got to consider all the different things. So one of the best things that I would recommend for people, especially if you manage the account yourself, is to have, I call it spaces, because my business account they call them spaces, but to basically have a system that allows you to put different pots for different things. So I have a VAT one, for example. I have a corporate tax one, for example, because I'm a limited company. I've got reinvestment pot. I've got a profit pot. I've got my salary pot. I've got a team pot to pay for my team. So I've got lots of different pots, and it sounds probably a little bit overwhelming, but actually it's not, because then what I do every single week, you can do it monthly. Some of my clients do theirs monthly. You can put away a little bit for each of those. So again, it's understanding the numbers, but knowing that if you're strategic with it, you can make sure that you're putting aside for things, so that then there's not all of a sudden your accountant coming up to you saying, you owe me £6,000 for VAT, not me, but VAT. And then you panic because you haven't got that, right? And I do think that is a big mistake. It all comes down to the cash flow again. We have to understand that if we get the money coming into the business, especially if you're a limited business, you need to know that not all of that money is yours personally. It's the business's money. So we have to make sure we're considering all the different pots it goes in.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think what you're talking about here, and you're starting to hint at those things, are like systems.
Yeah.
Like these are the systems you have to put in place. So there's like the money system. There's almost like your brand, your iconic leader system. Are there any other systems that you need to think about? I mean, I for our users, I obviously think about booking systems and websites and things like that. But so like the automations. But more in general, like, are there like any other system that you need to think about?
Yeah, I think an overall sales system. So I know I talked about the ecosystem as such, as a whole, as a business model, but having an actual sales system as well. So again, going back to the concept of like a funnel, but knowing and understanding how are you bringing people in. If you create a system, I think systems are so important. No matter what in business, if you had a system and a strategy for every single aspect of your business, you can't go wrong. You really can't. And yes, obviously you'll test things, you'll try things, some things will work better than others, but you tweak and change and adapt them, refine them as you go. But yeah, sales system is another one as well, which I think is really, really important. And yeah, digital systems as well. So like you said, obviously your incredible booking system that you have, and other systems that are going to actually support people, because I think the worst thing about business is if you're having to do things manually. Oh my goodness, it drives me mad. So let's make it easier for ourselves. Let's have an easier life by having a booker system that literally changes the game for us, by having an email marketing system that actually works, by having a sales system that makes it easy to look at leads and people that are potential customers and clients. Let's make our lives easier, 100%.
Does your booking system still suck? Then you should look into Jenna.
Hey, I'm Jen, and I'm the founder of Jenna. We created Jenna specifically for solo business owners. We know how hard it is to build your own business, and without the right tools, it's even harder. Booking systems suck because they're designed for big salons. They're complicated, they have expensive monthly fees, and loads of hidden fees. And that's why we built Jenna.
With Jenna, you can look professional with a professionally designed website where you need no tech skills.
Jenna also helps you get your evenings back, because on average, beauty pros spend 45 minutes going back and forth with their clients. With Jenna, you can set your boundaries. Our system takes bookings, sets reminders, and handles payments automatically.
And with Jenna, we know how important it is for you to build your own brand with your own website, which is fully customizable. You don't sit next to your competitors on a marketplace, and we make sure that you stand out to your clients.
And the best is that it's only £19 per month. That's it.
No way!
With Jenna, there are no new client fees, no hidden fees, and no unexpected big bills at the end of the month.
This sounds too good to be true, but it's not. So check it out on jenna.so or look for @jenna.ai_ on Instagram.
Yes, check out Jenna on the App Store as well. Yeah, and I think like sometimes there's like because of what we just talked about, the misunderstanding about the numbers, like those systems are seen as just cost, when actually if you think about it, like a booking system, you can actually offset it. It's a cost that can be reducing your overall tax bill, so ultimately it pays for itself. And sometimes I'm having those conversations, I don't know if you're having this with your clients, sometimes they're a bit like reluctant to spend on systems because they're like, well, because it's something I can do myself, why should I pay something or someone to do it? But what they forget to think about is that, well, your time is money. So how much money could you make during that time if you save that time? And then, you start thinking about how much you would spend for that amount, like maybe like a coffee or something like this, which then is the same value almost. how do you kind of help them reframe that and think about those money systems differently?
Yeah, 100%. You know what? I absolutely agree with you as well, because it's the same as anything, isn't it? A good example that comes up for quite a few of my clients, which is very similar, is ads. So a lot of people are reluctant to pay for ads, right? Just as another example. But ads are going to benefit you and get more visible. They're going to save you from having to do everything organically, and they're going to allow you to connect with more people and bring more people to your page, website, whatever, right? So although, yes, it might cost you £5 or dollars, it might cost you £30 or dollars, it might cost you £50 or dollars a day, but actually think of, yes, the time, the energy that it's saving you, and actually the return on investment for that can be massive, can be huge. And time is a massive thing. I think time is one of the most precious things we have in our lives, one of the most precious, our health and our time. And if we can save time, if there are systems out there that can help us, and we can offset that as well, like you said, in terms of that investment is actually, it's saving you tax, to be honest with you. It's a great investment for your business. So actually you're giving yourself the opportunity to not only save time and stress, but you're also giving yourself the opportunity to save on tax. And as we know, that is a great thing for any business owner. So I think it's really, really important with that. And, my ad example is just one. Investing in coaches and mentors is another one as well. If you learn quickly and get the support from someone, your return on investment could be huge. And, absolutely, I can see with the system as well being incredible and helping so many people, so they don't have to manually do it themselves.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Like, I think it's because, I'm going a little bit deep here, but I feel like we as a society, we used to be a society of like scarcity, where like there wasn't a lot of resources. So time was not like the asset. Time was like something that you could spend and you use time. So that's why some of us have like this kind of mentality of like, my time is worth nothing and everything else is worth something. But actually in the world of abundance where we are, and sometimes like that's like a big word to throw around. But some people don't have much, so they're like, well, the abundance, I don't have the abundance. But I think like when we think about that in terms of like, well, we, most of us are able to like, have a roof, feed ourselves and things like that. So like that's a bit like the abundance. Then time becomes the main asset for yourself. And if you think about everybody else, like, all the celebrities, all the icons that they have the same amount of hours, of minutes in a day than you have. Yeah. So the only way they do more than you is by investing, is that by spending the other assets they have, like money, to actually create more time. Because time is ultimately the real asset that doesn't move. It's inflexible, and it will never be flexible. So I think what you're saying is very true, and I love that.
It is, absolutely, it is so precious. And if we can protect our time as business owners, we are doing the right thing. And again, and I think with business as well, we've always got to look at it as, if we want to grow a business and we want to scale a business to the next level even, we have to invest in systems and processes that are going to support us, because it's, there's not an overnight secret that's going to help anyone scale to 6 or multiple 6 or 7 figures. We have to invest, yes, either time or invest in other things, systems or people that can help you. And like we said, precious time, or protect your time, is really important. So get the help, get the support from the systems, the processes, the people that can actually support you in getting the results you want.
Yeah, and sorry, that was the point actually I was trying to make. I lost a bit like that, but I think like you're exactly right. And those systems and this kind of saving your time, investing to like get more time, is so important, because I feel like you talk about this a lot. I think about the hustle culture, where we feel like we have to be on all the time and work all the time, because that's the only way you're gonna make progress. But what do you see like as downside of that hustle culture, and how do you overcome that as well as a business owner?
Yeah, so I think, obviously with this entire hustle culture and being on all the time, we know that we've got to work hard to build businesses. Absolutely. We've got to put in the work and the energy and the effort. But at the same time, if that jeopardizes our health, our mental well-being of any description, we're not setting ourselves up for future success. We're not looking at it as a sustainable business. We're looking at it as I've got to keep going, keep pushing myself. But if you end up being ill or going into burnout or anything along those lines, that will set you back a lot more. So it's again about protecting, isn't it, that energy, yes, the time, but the energy, your own mental well-being, and just really thinking about how can I continue to grow, keep working hard, but also protect my own energy and give myself breaks. Simple things. Like before we jumped onto this amazing recording, I took the dog for a walk. I got some fresh air for half an hour. I stepped out into nature because it's healthy to do so. So you can give yourself that break. And I think that's really important. And I appreciate if people have salons and clinics and practices, it's not as easy to do that in the middle of the day. But there will be opportunities where you still get to have a break. You still get to pause, and giving yourself that opportunity is vitally important for overall success.
Yeah, I mean that's something that I really believe in a lot. Like a lot of our users, what they tell us, what they love about using our booking system, using Jenna, is that they get their evenings back. Yeah. Because usually before that they were just messaging the whole evening, so they never got that break. But now they can get that break, and I think that's so important. Like you know that saying, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. Absolutely. And I think that's really true. At the same time, like if you run a marathon yourself versus someone who's a professional athlete, they will run that marathon a lot faster than you. So I always like to think, like, as a business owner, we have to think ourselves as athletes. How can you make sure that you can run longer and faster, but you make sure you don't burn out? Because if you burn out in that marathon, you're done. You're gonna lose.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? It's a very, very great. It's a great analogy or a great saying, isn't it? It's a marathon, not a sprint, because it is. Again, there's no overnight success. There's no quick wins in this game. No. You can simplify and you can make your life easier, but it's not going to happen overnight. And to build a successful business, it takes time, it takes energy, it takes the right strategies, the right systems, the right support, doesn't it? It's everything completely together that will help.
And what are like some tips that you use, but also you teach, on how to set boundaries and how to like look after yourself?
Yes, the boundaries is such an interesting one, and especially protecting yourself and your energy. So in terms of, so for my industry, it's a little bit different because my business is online. But for something that I would say to all of my clients that have a mix of different businesses from different industries, I would always say, in terms of boundaries, first of all, again, just make sure that you have a difference in regards to, how your clients or customers can contact you. So, for example, you don't want to be messaging people in the evening. It's your time. That's time where you should be spending quality time with your loved ones and family, or just time to yourself. So setting boundaries such as things like either having a work phone, so you might have one that's in salon, in clinic, but most people have a mobile to capture content and stuff. So having a separate work phone, or saying after 6 p.m. or after 7 p.m., whatever it is, I'm not looking at socials, I'm not responding to messages. I will come back to them an hour before I open clinic tomorrow morning, or I will come back to them when I'm in clinic or the practice tomorrow. So just really making sure that you're setting boundaries in that way, but stick to them. And actually holding yourself accountable is probably one of the hardest things for this, because it's so easy to slip. If you get a message from someone, that client, she desperately wants her hair doing, or she desperately wants her nails doing. Let's look at my diary, I can fit her in next Wednesday. And you go through these messages of people. I did it with my own nail technician. I message her and she'll respond at any time, and I'm like, you don't need to respond now, respond to me in your working hours. So it really is a case of just making sure that you set yourself those boundaries, and you hold yourself accountable for them. Stick to them, do not break them, because I think once you give a little bit, people expect a lot. It's about really being structured in those boundaries. So not taking work home with you if you can help it. If you work from home, if you've got a salon or a clinic at home, walk away from the room or the space that you're currently working in. Give yourself that opportunity to break from it, which is super important.
Nice. Yeah. I really believe in that a lot. I think we're very aligned here. It comes from like years of experience. You have something very exciting coming up. So you were telling me, and I thought that was like so amazing. So you have a documentary and you have a premiere. Tell us a bit more.
Yes, thank you so much. So I've got a documentary coming out in autumn, so in October. We've got the premiere in Leicester Square, which is really exciting. But the overall concept of this is it's all about female empowerment and self-belief. I'm a massive advocate and believer that no matter who you are, you can achieve what you want to achieve. And this particular documentary is all about that self-belief, that empowerment, that growth mindset to support anyone that watches it. And although I do mainly support female entrepreneurs, but anyone can watch this, anyone can take anything away from it, so that you're able to walk away feeling motivated, feeling inspired, and knowing that you can. Actually, you can. Absolutely.
And what inspired you to do a documentary? Because so you already are a renowned coach, you give talks, like you already have a lot of impact. What made you think that you wanted to do this and develop such a documentary?
Yeah, so it's quite a unique angle to go by. I think a lot of people in industry will write a book, do a podcast, and share their story in ways like that. I'm a very creative person, as I think I mentioned earlier on in the podcast, and I love video. I absolutely love, supporting my clients with creating show reels and creating content that's going to make them look and feel $1 million themselves, right? So I've always had that creativity. I used to be a videographer and photographer as well. So actually bringing in my skills and my passion and sharing a story and what I'm really passionate about in a way that people can consume it, that's going to activate them, that's going to make them feel equal. I'm never one for reading books, and this is my own honest opinion. I can't read books very easily. I can listen. I put an audiobook on, I'm fine. I love a podcast. They're my favorite things. I literally plug myself into podcasts all the time. But reading a physical book, I can't do it. So I always find that I absolutely love consuming in video form. So that is one of the main reasons why I really wanted to lean into this, and to give people the opportunity, like I said, to be inspired, to feel empowered and motivated with who they are. And I always think that storytelling is so powerful, isn't it? So again, showing it through a visual form allows people to connect even further with the actual concept of what I'm trying to share.
No, I agree. And what can people expect if they watch the documentary? Like, what's happening in it? Like, is it your story? Is it stories of multiple women?
Yeah, so it's my story as the kind of like the main narrative, but then I've got lots of other women that are involved in it that are giving their own perspective or own opinion. So for example, we've got people who are mums and run businesses, they're giving their opinion. We've got people who are friends that are giving their opinion. That we've got people who run their businesses and they have struggled through different challenges and they share their story. So it's kind of one main narrative and lots of mini narratives kind of combined into it as such. And it's just going to allow so many people to connect and to really resonate with the stories that are being told in it.
Great. So that's released in October, right? 2nd of October, you said?
Yeah, 2nd of October is the premiere, and then it'll be released the next week. So yeah.
The next week, okay. So can people go and watch the premiere, or is that that's a private event and then they have to wait?
Yeah, so the premiere is private. It's invite only, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would invite loads of people. But no, it is invite only. Very, very specific in terms of the event itself and how many people are allowed there. They put a cap on us. However, the documentary itself can obviously be watched by everyone. It will go out on YouTube first, initially, to allow people to access it straight away, and then it will obviously be distributed a lot further than that. So yes, it was going to be easy, accessible, it's going to be free, so that people can access it and feel inspired and empowered from it.
And remind us, what is the name of the YouTube channel? Where can people find you?
So if you search my name, it's probably the best thing. So literally Kayleigh Greenacre, and I will come up on all the different platforms. So whether that's Instagram, YouTube, it's Kayleigh Greenacre, and actually I can. So it will come up. There doesn't seem to be another Kayleigh Greenacre actually on in the internet or on the internet. So very easy to find. But yes, YouTube, Kayleigh Greenacre. You'll see my channel, and it will be there in a couple of weeks' time.
Amazing. Well, can't wait to watch it. Very exciting. Kayleigh, thank you so much for being here with us. That was a fascinating discussion. Really loved it. I think our audience can take away quite a lot of things that they can implement themselves. There's a few frameworks, one like how to start, then business models, and then if they want to learn more, they can find you on your socials. We'll put the links in the show notes, so they can also click on there as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.